because the people who are being lied to may be espousing the same BS that the liars are espousing, but they have a very different intention. They believe that they got it right. They believe that what they're saying actually will lead to a better society. All right, welcome back to the party, everybody. I am your host, Lutch, aka the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Let's party. So Matt Walsh has been all over the news, at least the conservative alternative news, all that good stuff. A while back, maybe last week, I don't know exactly when it was, he went hard in the paint against Dylan Mulvaney, the person that has been tracking all of their day 25 of being a girl. I'm wearing heels in the woods and flinging myself around because I'm scared of bugs. That person who went to the White House. Matt Walsh went pretty hard. If you didn't see it, go just Google it. And so people were all up in arms about it, saying how he's so transphobic, all the normal stuff. But somebody from the Daily Wire actually quit because of Matt Walsh. Now, we just did the video with Brett Cooper getting up in arms about the Jennifer Lawrence movie when I really didn't think that was that much of a big deal. Now we have somebody leaving the Daily Wire because Matt Walsh is too mean. Let's see what we got.
Matt Walsh is just too mean. Too mean. Following Matt Walsh's statements about Dylan Mulvaney, there was a backlash with many classical liberals and politically homeless people being like, whoa, whoa, whoa. We don't call people eerie, unearthly, weird. That's a step too far. Matt Walsh could get his point across without being so mean. However,
sure,
I was actually convinced. Probably not convinced to go as far as Matt Walsh maybe sometimes even go a little bit further. But Matt Walsh made a really good point. And it's that we need to take away an accepting space for bad people. Now we're seeing backlash from it. An employee of the Daily Wire is resigning because Matt Walsh was too mean. Christina Buttons wrote an article for Reality's Last Stand. That's I believe it's Colin Wright's Substack. Why I'm leaving the Daily Wire. There's a critical distinction between speaking truth and being tactless, between sticking to the facts and sticking it to the libs. I believe Christina Buttons is incorrect in her assessment of the culture war.
I mean, I watched this last week and put it on the videos to react to list, so I don't remember exactly where we're going with this, but it's definitely the irony that Matt Walsh is getting all this pushback. And not that Dylan Mulvaney isn't, but it's like, okay, maybe he is being too mean for your personal taste. Do you not still agree with his bottom line? And especially, as Tim put it, creating a safe space for bad people. Is that okay?
Don't really know Christina all too much. Hear good things about her. And I can respect wanting to pass off an olive branch to moderates and politically homeless individuals to convince them to join us in the fight against wokeness, the woke cult, etc. However,
too late.
Matt Walsh, in my opinion, was not saying to be mean to everyone. He was saying to call out the bad people, the evil, those who would seek to corrupt and spread destruction. There's a big
specifically in children
difference between being mean to your average, say, trans person and being mean to a person who is seeking to exploit, corrupt, and destroy. But before I explain why I believe Matt Walsh is actually mostly correct, let me show you what Christina Buttons has to say. And we'll get into this scandal with the Daily Wire. Although I don't really think it's a scandal, it's just an employee quitting. Why I'm leaving the Daily Wire, writes Christina Buttons. After much consideration, I am tendering my resignation from the Daily Wire, the publication to which I dedicated my time and passion as an investigative reporter for the last 6 months. My interest in the transgender debate became all-consuming when I realized that so many of our trusted institutions, the mainstream media, government, academia, civil rights and gay rights organizations, big tech, and the medical establishment were misled on this issue and were misleading the public in turn. As a pro-choice atheist who has consistently voted Democrat throughout my adult life, this realization, as I've written, was nothing short of world-rocking.
Just to be clear, the atheist part, not the pro-choice part.
And you see right there, this is why I want to talk to you about this. Christina, I believe you're incorrect. I do not believe that they were misled. I believe that they're intentionally misleading the public. Hands down. Yep. I know this because of through experience. You see, I went the route of let's be nice and just try to inform. And what did they do? They lied about my stance on the issue, resulting in swattings and death threats and bomb threats. People leaving harassing messages and sending emails about things I never said.
And on a much smaller degree, I've spent all of my time in broadcasting, or whatever you want to call it, podcasting, all of this stuff, trying to reach out to people who have different opinions than I do, specifically to try to find that common ground, specifically to send out that olive branch. But the fact of the matter is, a lot of people don't want middle ground. They want all or nothing. They're not interested in your olive branch.
And I thought to myself, how strange, this polite approach, saying things like, you know, I have no issue with anybody who wants to live their life. We live and let live. But these pedophiles, they're seeping in, and we need to make sure they don't corrupt. So what did they do? They lied and claimed that I and people like James Lindsay were directly attacking all trans people. That's so weird. It's so weird. It made no sense. We have trans people on the show who hang out here.
It's almost like they're the ones who conflate being trans and being a G rumor. Not the right. It seems like the left are the ones that say, hey, that's a G rumor. And you say, that's transphobic. Like, wait, whoa, what? Nobody was talking about trans anything. Maybe your mind goes to trans when we say that word. But that's a character flaw within you, not me.
I've done shows. I've gone to events where there are conservative drag queens. I have even offered to put on, for Jen Huger of the Young Turks, a tremendous drag show with free food and drinks, 21 and up only.
What a transphobe.
Of course, it's going to be drag there. You don't want kids coming to that, right? They don't take me up on the offer. I have no problem with drag. Drag's funny. People want to do these shows. They can live how they want to live.
Yeah, not funny to me. I don't really get it, but to each their own.
If for some reason they kept lying about everything I was saying, hey, they weren't being misled. They are lying on purpose. Now, I don't necessarily blame the average individual who reads the fake news and is tricked, which is why I understand why you don't want to be too mean.
This is exactly what I talk about with you have the people who are lying that Tim's talking about right now, and then you have the people who are being lied to. And it can be very difficult to tell the difference by design, but it is very much important to make that differentiation, because the people who are being lied to may be espousing the same BS that the liars are espousing, but they have a very different intention. They believe that they are right. They believe that what they're saying actually will lead to a better society. Whereas like Don Lemon doesn't care about a better society. He just cares about saying what the people who sign his paycheck tell him to say.
Understand that you cannot win this space by constantly deferring to them, for which they then lie.
Yep.
You got to call them out. You got to take that space from them. You got to build culture. Let me read more. When the documentary What is a Woman was released in 2022, I thought it was a brilliant commentary on the state of our culture. Matt Walsh didn't insult his interviewees, but instead let them embarrass themselves. So he says, even my liberal parents loved the movie. I completely agree. I think it was a cultural force, one of the most powerful things Daily Wire's ever done.
And you know, Tim all the time talks about culture jamming and doing things that will actually create culture and not just reporting on the news, reporting on things that happen. But What is a Woman was like this Buttons, Christina Buttons. I told you guys I'm terrible with names. But as she was saying, even her liberal parents like this. So creating culture is how you change society. Guys, real quick, I just want to ask you, I don't do this often, but I need your help. We got to grow the channel. And I know I love every moment that you guys spend with me, but especially on these videos where I'm not here, I definitely need you guys to just hit that like button, leave a little comment. It doesn't matter what you say. And if you haven't been subscribed, please hit the subscription.
So when the Daily Wire approached me with the opportunity to write exclusively on transgender issues with emphasis on pediatric gender medicine, I accepted. There were difficulties working for a decidedly conservative news and media corporation, which I anticipated. For instance, health professionals would not talk to me, much less go on the record, because of their suspicion of right-wing media. Hey, that's weird. But aren't you being nice to them? Aren't you saying, let me be nice? For some reason, they won't talk to you? It's almost like they're lying. And their ideas can't stand up to scrutiny. But I pushed through these inconveniences because I felt that much of the criticism directed at the Daily Wire staff was misguided. Misguided. Yes. Misguided. I remember the first time someone threatened to throw a brick at my face because I asked a simple question, and I said, simply misguided. Then I realized, oh, wait a minute. They're evil.
Yep.
I remember when I was...
These people know what they are doing.
Filming outside during Occupy Wall Street. And I had them come to me and say, only film police, never film us. And I said, why? I don't understand. Don't we want to inform the public as to everything that's going on? No. We want to win. Don't film us. And I said, F you, I will film it all. Because they're evil. They want power. And they want people to give them power. And they know they're evil. They know they lie.
This is the type of stuff that, you know, when Tim was on the ground doing this stuff, I saw this happening in real time. I saw the opportunity for Tim to be that guy who would only film the police and all that. He could be their hero. And he decided not to. And, maybe he has some bad takes here and there. Maybe he hyper focuses on the culture war and this, that, whatever issues you have with Tim Pool. The reason that I keep him as my number one guy, many people that I listen to when it comes to news, but Tim has always been my number one guy because his values have always shown out. His values have always driven his work. And so regardless of what his opinions are, I can trust that he is genuinely giving his take to inform me on what's going on.
Not every single person. Let's read more. Their position on transgender issues was sufficiently nuanced, and their editorial standards were and remain high, referring to the Daily Wire. I was told the Daily Wire stance was that adults could live their lives, etc., etc. But recent videos and posts have weakened my confidence in their commitment to this message. On Valentine's Day, Matt Walsh did a segment on his show about transgender influencer Dylan Mulvaney.
Oh, yeah, I forgot that it was on Valentine's Day. Oh, man. Poor Dylan. Poor Dylan.
That has now been viewed by millions. You are weird and artificial. You are manufactured and lifeless. You are unearthly and eerie. You are some kind of human deepfake. Everyone who looks at you will see something pitiable and bizarre. Yep. Walsh has defended these statements as good strategy because he says they rally the conservative base. He adds the goal is not to convince the other side, but to defeat, humiliate, and demoralize his opponents. Matt Walsh is correct.
And again, he's not talking about all trans people. That's the confusion. He's not even talking about regular trans people. If you're a person who's just trying to live their life and you happen to be trans, Matt Walsh is not talking about you.
This triggered a race to the bottom, with other social media personas one-upping each other to see who can take more extreme stances. No, I certainly said Matt Walsh has convinced me to be meaner. But it's only because I had already expressed that this idea is somewhat correct. In that, what the left seeks to do is use violence, threats, and humiliation to gain political power. It works. They have been insulting people on TV forever. They have been firebombing private businesses and smashing windows. They have mercilessly beaten journalists like Andy Ngo on more than one occasion. What? And the best thing that the right has to offer is, I'm going to be a little bit condescending and mean to these people. And what do you get? Christina, I believe you are incorrect. Christina, you come out and say, no, we can't do this. We can't do this. We must sit idly by as they engage in overt acts of terror, violence, threats, vandalism, bricks in the face, fire bombs, and we mustn't counter in any way in terms of the culture war.
And that's where Tim, as well as myself, will disagree with Christina in the fact that, unfortunately, I wish we lived in the world that she thinks we live in. By just being, showing by example that this is how we want to live and this is how you get a great society, that they will learn. They will see that we are happier and better and richer and all of this, and they will change their ways. It's not gonna work like that. These people are so far gone that you need this shock and awe type of thing. And again, we are not talking about your average trans person. We are talking about those who are trying to infect the minds of others with a specific ideology, particularly children. We are not just talking about people who happen to have gender dysphoria.
Here's my view. We want to dominate culture. The Daily Wire is doing a very good job of it. They're expanding and they're gaining lots of views. Mm-hmm. This is showing young people a path of success in policy and online is not with the left. You will get more views if you reject degeneracy and the cult. Mm-hmm. Worse still, if you try and do these things, you will be made fun of. Oof, that doesn't feel good, does it? Everyone laughing at you? Matt Walsh isn't making fun of Blair White. Matt Walsh isn't making fun of run-of-the-mill trans people. He's making fun of Dylan Mulvaney specifically, an individual who mocks trans people and women. Hiking heels in the woods? Come on. Christina writes there are transsexuals who are not ideologues, who know they cannot literally identify out of their sex, and who believe that medical transition is a choice for adults, not children. I count some of them as my friends. They're trying to educate the public, etc., etc. Matt Walsh's rhetoric coincided with a sudden deluge of animus towards transsexuals like my friend Blair White simply for being transsexual. However, Matt Walsh was talking specifically about Dylan Mulvaney.
Again, that's the conflation that needs to be highlighted. It's not about being trans. It's about the ideology that you are pushing on other people and other people's children. Whether you're straight, white, male, female, transgender, non-binary, whatever. What I care about is, are you trying to indoctrinate children? If you're not, then cool. Do you. That's it. Do you. I'm glad that we live in a society where you feel comfortable enough to be you. but leave the children alone.
I don't see Blair White putting on heels and prancing about the forest and falling over or running around handing tampons to women.
Well, that's because Blair is not trying to make fun of women. She just wants to be one.
Blair White, I think, is fantastic and has done Timcast IRL on numerous occasions and even appeared in our Cast Castle series doing funny jokes, talking about these issues, being a real person, being relatable, and we understand. And we're friends with Blair. Blair's awesome. I know Blair is also our go-to trans person that we're all friends with. Whenever the issue comes up, everybody's always like, Blair, token trans person.
It is kind of convenient that we have the one token trans person who actually is a non-activist, just a regular person. I mean, she is an activist in her own way, but not a trans activist. And it seems weird, but at the end of the day, if there's certain things that she can say that other people can't say simply because they're not trans.
Also had on several others. And there are other individuals, like a drag queen who went to CPAC. I forgot the drag queen's name.
Sounds like Lady Maga, no? Shout out to Lady Maga.
Drag and trans are two different things, mind you. My point is this. If there are people like Dylan Mulvaney, who I do not believe are trans, and are seeking to corrupt and exploit for personal gain, I think calling them names, calling them out, insulting them, humiliating them is not the worst possible thing in the world, and may very well be effective in certain circumstances. In that, many people are going to go on TikTok, young people. They're going to see Dylan Mulvaney, who I do not believe is a trans person, I believe is a performance artist who is mocking trans people, and then they'll say, this is how we do it. Look at all the millions of views.
This is how we do it. Look at the millions of views. Take it out of trans, take it out of drag, take it out of any of that. This is how we do it. Look at the millions of views. Make the argument that that is not going to change how children view their own life and society at large. You can't, can you?
Here's the problem with it. To the real trans people who are actually trying to just get by and not be attacked or anything, it is Dylan Mulvaney, not Matt Walsh, that is causing the problems. Matt Walsh is saying, you are eerie, people will look at you with pity. Young people, however, will say that's the path towards success. And then you have actual trans people. Now there's going to be someone who looks at Dylan Mulvaney and believes that represents a trans person.
So now we're getting back into this idea of the liars and those being lied to. So you have Dylan Mulvaney being a liar, lying to people, probably themselves or whatever, about the reality of what's going on. It's not like we haven't seen people who are willing to go to these lengths just for attention. And that's what Tim meant when he said that he doesn't think he's a real trans person. That just seems like a dude who wants attention, and this was the way. And he got to the White House with it. So, kind of hard to argue against it. But then you have the kids who are watching Dylan Mulvaney and have no context to understand why people like myself might not be in favor of that. And especially because we are not in favor of it. Now it becomes tribalistic. Now they've got to stand up for Dylan. And now they got to stand up for the rest of the transes. And then it goes back to the millions and millions of views. And the cycle continues. But now you have someone who's being lied to, espousing the lies that have been lied to them. Lying to a whole new generation of those who are lied to.
It does not. Dylan Mulvaney handing out tampons in bathrooms to women and wearing high heels in the woods is insulting trans people and women. I believe Dylan Mulvaney is a narcissist who wants fame and found fame in this path. Now, some people say, oh, that's ridiculous. Nobody would fake being trans in order to get followers or whatever. Madonna just got plastic surgery. Celebrities get surgery on their faces all the time, changing who they are and their appearances, getting hair plugs and toupees to be someone they are not for fame, for money, for power. Why wouldn't Dylan Mulvaney do that? Why not? I mean, Hollywood is nothing but plastic surgery. People's faces look completely different. Some are really weird looking. And so you think it's different now? Spare me. I don't.
So, I mean, he goes on. You definitely want to check out his whole video. But the idea here is that the Daily Wire reporter who quit is seeing things from and hey, she's allowed to have whatever perspective she wants. If she doesn't like what's going on, she can quit and she can do whatever she wants. This isn't about, she's some horrible person or anything like that. But her perspective of what's going on and to see Matt Walsh as the one who needs to change. It's just silly. It's backwards. Now, sure, you can critique whether he was too mean or not too mean. But if that is what is driving your behavior on a scale of where you're going to work and not work, then I don't know if you really understand what's at stake here. I don't know. What do you guys think? Was it justified for her to quit? Was Matt Walsh too mean? Is Dylan Mulvaney a real trans person? Does any of that even make sense? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for partying with me. Once again, I am your host, Lutch, aka the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Catch me live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Until then, guys, I am out of here. Peace.